Yeah, man. Let's kill that bass head. Alright, let's do this.
I'm on the air, we got this pockets flow. It's me and Tony on the mics, we gotta let you know of current events, little gaming, sprinkle in some entertainment. We stay humble, but our moms still think we're famous. Turn up the bass and baby, maybe let that magic flow. Our spoken word is all the things you really wanna know. Having a good time on the show, T-Bows and Matty G. Tune in and hit subscribe and join us on the FAP.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Freaking Awesome Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Bowes, and sadly, Matty G could not make it today, but we make up more than enough for it with our wonderful guest today. He is the lead singer slash frontman slash producer of the amazing American band Don't Believe in Ghosts.
Don't believe in ghosts.
How are you doing today, Steven? Sorry,
Awesome,
you got
man.
Nathan on the bottom of the screen. I got a little confused. Like, Steve, I'm pretty sure they said Steven Nathan, not Nathan Steven.
Yeah. Well, you know what? With friends, it's like they usually call me Nathan, so I figure, that's what I just go with. That's
Perfect.
all good.
Well,
yeah.
That works for us too. It's always funny when you've got like a first name and a last name that can also be construed as a first name. That must be like hard when you sign up for things.
Oh my God, it's the best thing ever, actually, because like half the people will know me as Steven and the other half will know me as Nathan. So sometimes somebody will be like, "Hey, I just saw you talking to Nathan. Where did he go?" And they're like, "Nathan, who's that?" So it's awesome. I love the confusion.
I was gonna say, like, do you have like multiple middle names? Like, I've got two middle names, and that I mean, luckily I stuck with the first surname, but or the first name and my surname, and then that's how most people know me. But when I throw it down the extra middle names, it really confuses people because when you got that many, do you have like a few extra in there that to confuse matters worse?
Well, then they think you're royalty, right? I mean, like to have that many middle names.
That's right. I just needed to end with like the third.
yeah. Just add a nice number on the end of it and you're good.
That's right. So before we get digging too deep into things, how about we talk about some crazy news that we've come across?
Oh yeah, let's see what's going on out there.
Okay. This is there was honestly a whole bunch of news out there, and it's really funny because a lot of them, of course, was coming out of Florida, which is one of our favorite places to dig up news. In fact, it's really weird because over COVID, Florida has been very, very quiet, and now I think with things slowly opening up, it has just boomed again. So It was really hard to pick out just two articles, considering everything that was out there this week.
You've done the Florida Man Google challenge, right?
Yeah, it is honestly amazing. Like, we didn't even know about Florida Man when we first started off the show, and then we started picking up these articles. And I think we had Robert Franzese on the show, and he was just like, "Oh yeah, Florida Man. He's like the worst superhero." And we're like, "What?" And he's just like, "Oh, yeah, there's a whole section down here for Florida Man."
Oh, it's amazing! It's amazing.
Yeah. Awesome. So today's article headline is Florida Man says he had sex with stolen pool toys instead of raping women.
Interesting that they had to be stolen.
Right? And it's just like, really? I mean, I don't know how these two go together, but basically the article reads that Stephen William Monin is suspected of a number of pool toy burglaries in the area. He told police that he had stolen a number of inflatable pool toys so he could not have sex, or so he could have sex with them instead of raping women. I mean, I feel like right off the bat, if you're telling the police I had to steal things to not rape women, they should probably arrest him for potential or possible rape.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely on a list at some point now, right? Or should be,
I mean, he's definitely on a neighborhood list because apparently he was caught on a bicycle with a backpack that was really, really suspicious because it was huge. So when the police officer said, "Could you empty his backpack?" he instantly broke down and told him that he had been stealing pool toys and for this reason.
It sounds like he wants to be rewarded for that.
Right? It's just like, by the way, I stole a bunch of tool things, but it was only because I wouldn't rape women. It's like, what? Yeah, I couldn't believe these two went hand in hand. But he had been basically there had been over 13 burglaries in the neighborhood, and he was pretty much tied to all of them in the end. And he even took the police over to his residence where he had been staying, which was actually an abandoned house where they found over 75 pool toys in the house.
Oh, that's a fetish right there.
Right? That's like, well, they talk about
What do you-
multiple partners.
Yeah, I'm like, how does that work? All right, cool.
Right?
All right.
I don't know. Like, I mean, are we talking like a Valve thing? Is he just kind of dry humps the thing?
I'm trying to figure it out mentally, and at the same time, I'm almost done trying to figure it out mentally.
Right. It just brings up too many awful mental images. Now, if you look up this Florida man has sex with student, but this man looks absolutely psychotic. Like this man will honestly haunt my dreams. His eyes have just got like I think he's raping me right now by looking at his eyes, and it is creepy as hell. So I
Dude,
feel like just to look at this guy, he should be arrested.
Yeah, I mean, I've come across people like that randomly. Just, one time in Hayes, Kansas, I came across a guy who I was going out to the tour bus, and he pulled up to the tour bus, and he's like started asking where I was from and everything, and he could see the New York plates on the tour bus, and then he had a handgun in his on his stomach, and he just looked me in the eye with those crazy eyes, and he's like, "I could kill you," and there was nobody around.
Oh my God.
And then, oh my God. I mean, so I know those eyes, they're no good. They're no good.
I mean, what do you say at this point? They're like, you better not lie to him. You better say New York or something because of the plates, right? At least he'll believe things.
It's craziness.
Oh,
You always
wow.
steer clear of those. That's why I always say, people are like, is New York scary? Is New York dangerous? Well, I think like, anywhere can be scary and dangerous, but like in New York, you could see crazy coming,
Yeah.
When you're in the woods, it's like it just taps on your window and then it's too late,
It's true. Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, I always find I've been to New York a couple times, and it's just it's always a wild ride when you're down there. And the things that you see is, I mean, I guess every city or every town or any metropolis has their kind of fun factor of weird people. But it's I think New York takes it to a new level in some kind of times, So yeah, all right. So the next. So this was there's a you know what, I'm gonna actually put 3 today. I only normally do 2, but this was actually really funny. This one's super short, and what it was the article read that Florida man crash lands a private plane after taking it out to get tacos.
I mean, I can kind of relate, I'm definitely doing a taco run. I don't know about that. I mean, I don't know. This is crazy. Where did he crash land?
So he actually he was rescued by Miami-Dade Fire Rescue. So it was just out in the Miami area. But he basically was flying it from to Miami, and he was going to Arcadia, and he didn't quite make it to get these tacos. Now, it didn't actually say like if these guys were super high or what it was. It was a really weird and short article, but I mean, all I could think of is like, we've all been there. We've all been at that, we need to get tacos. It's late at night. We need to go now.
Yeah. Food adventure is always a good one. This is fine. I see nothing wrong with the story at all.
Right. Now, luckily, they did land the plane, even though they said they, crash landed. They both walked away. They of course have a hilarious story, and if anything, there was actually very minimal damage to the plane. So he did a wonderful job. He couldn't have been like completely stoned out of his mind, because he did land the plane, but into an area where he just wouldn't be able to get it back out again.
And most importantly, no pool toys were hurt. So that's good. That's a win.
Well, I kind of feel like, I mean, if they're going to rescue him out of all this, they should at least take him to get tacos, because I think after out of all this, he didn't even get the tacos.
Yeah, I mean, like, and the taco place should definitely sponsor him. We need to find out where these tacos are.
Right? I mean, they've got to be the best damn tacos to fly a plane to get to, because I mean, most people would just get in their car and they're like, I don't know, like if you think about the whole Harold and Kumar and White Castle kind of thing, it's just like, how much gas money are you willing to spend to get a burger? And in this case, you're willing to put plane fuel in to go and get a taco.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm with it. Yeah.
If anything, they talked about what the taco place was, because clearly that is a damn good taco that you're willing to fly a plane to get a taco.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
good stuff.
Yeah, I thought that was really funny. The last one, and this was again a Florida man, which I thought was really interesting. But this one was titled "Florida Man Hops on Scooter to Chase After His Stolen Lamborghini." Now, instantly, I'm thinking, wait a minute,
Question.
this math doesn't add up.
There's
So-
definitely there.
Yeah. So what happened was a 14-year-old boy had stolen a $200,000 Lamborghini from a man's laneway, and he had reported that he was in his house when he heard the car starting up. Now, let's be all honest, like a Lamborghini has a very distinct startup, so you know that it's not like, you know, someone else's Lamborghini in the neighborhood, right?
Yeah, that's not a
I mean,
Tesla startup.
if you've got that many Lamborghinis in the neighborhood, you clearly have enough space between houses not to hear someone else's Lamborghini starting up.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
what happened was he basically had heard his car started up, and he saw it pull it backing out of his laneway. So he ran out of his house and jumped on a scooter to chase this kid down on a moped. Now, I'm trying to think.
How old was the kid?
14 years old.
How did he learn how to drive? I mean, that's like, those are paddles and stuff, right? That's not even like, it's like a whole different thing.
Yeah, it's not like you just step on the accelerator and go, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have to have some experience, and it's not even like, even if you learn stick, I'm pretty sure that it's hand paddles on that. Yeah, that's amazing. This kid's driven a Lamborghini before.
I mean, I'll probably thank Gran Turismo for all the people out there video games. I mean, you get used to panel shifters, right? It's just that L1 and L2 button.
That's insane. That's insane. Yeah, that's probably it.
So they did track him down. He basically only got several blocks away, and he was stopped. Actually, he got to an intersection, and believe it or not, the guy caught up to him on a moped. The police showed up. He got out and just gave himself up and said, I just stole a Lamborghini. I just stole a Lamborghini. I guess I was kind of shocked, because I mean, I think the first thing I would look for, I mean, it's like if you're picking up a moped, you might as well be trying to jump on a bicycle.
Yeah.
When it comes to a Lamborghini, right? Now, maybe he was in one of those tight neighborhoods with lots of speed bumps, thinking, man, this kid's not going to make it far.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing that probably saved him, is that the kid probably was just not sure how to drive this thing entirely. So I would imagine this was doing a bit of bouncing down the street.
Yeah, exactly. The old donkey kick. You know, I think out of the whole article, I thought was really interesting is he said, well, my garage door was open, and he probably found the keys I leave inside the garage. Now, if you have a Lamborghini, why the hell are you leaving the keys in the garage with the car?
That's a lot of trust.
Yeah, I mean, you're asking for your Lamborghini to be stolen, I guess. You know, maybe there's a type of insurance thing he was running, hoping the kid would get farther away.
Dude, I'm just gonna tell you that, like, so I had never driven stick before, and I was in Italy a couple of years ago, and we had an 8-hour trip, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to rent a car. This should be doable.
Yeah.
And the only thing they had was a stick shift car.
Yeah.
And like, they put me on the road, and it was like, and that was it. My first time ever in Italy with these tight little roads, like, you know, going up and down. And that was not fucking easy.
Did you like pull away and it's like, everybody's looking at you? You're like, just don't make eye contact. Just keep going.
Did you know, like, here's the thing that I realized in the end is the guy who, you know, the giving it to us, that thing, they must have given me a car where the first gear was totally stripped. So I was watching YouTube videos and I was just like, oh, this is going to be easy. I got this. I was like, yeah, you know, basic, you know, makes sense to me. I'm like, I have enough understanding of the world. I'm like, I should be able to get the basics after a few times. That's thing was totally stripped. Like, the first gear was totally stripped. This car wouldn't go anywhere. And the guy was standing there with like a cigarette against the wall, like fucking American, you know, like laughing at me. And I'm like,
yeah.
Didn't even come over, nothing. He didn't care. He was loving it. You know?
Yeah. You know, it's really funny because I don't actually think about it too much. I mean, I've always driven an automatic, you know, my whole life. I mean, I think once maybe I've driven stick, and I mean, other than outside of a video game, and you're thinking like the good old sit down arcades where you used to be able to shift through the gears, because I used to love that. I was thinking, oh, this is the perfect practice I'm going to get, and I hope that someday if I ever get stuck in a foreign country, that video game's going to pay off for me. But
good luck. The first gear, definitely, they give you the American cars.
That's right.
Tripped. I get to find that one little spot where it would actually go. Oh, it was a tough way to learn.
Well, I mean, at least you're like in an area where people aren't completely surrounding you to look at you. I mean, you're in the one place that nobody knows you at that point, right?
Oh yeah, but like they knew me then because I walked streets. I got like 2 seconds, and then I mean the Italian drivers they have no patience, no
Yeah.
like none, and it's like the car just totally died on this one street. There was literally it was a one-way street. I had buses and everything behind me just honking their horn.
Oh,
Like I don't know what to do.
yeah.
This is
The car's faulty. It's not me.
I'm like, this is how it is right now. So everybody just relax. I don't know what to tell you. You know.
Nah, that's a good mentality. I don't think I could go through that. I think I would just be totally embarrassed and just, I don't know, like I'd probably get out and try to push the car off the road somewhere to let people by.
Yeah, I was
So.
like, I was in it. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, we're in it now. Here we go. So
You're in there. That's the best way to learn, I guess, when you're under pressure.
yep, that was it. We're in it. Let's go.
Amazing. So, all right, let's turn around and let's talk about Don't Believe in Ghosts.
Yeah, awesome, man. Awesome.
So you guys are, and what I thought was super amazing, because what I always love about doing interviews with new bands that I'm not, of course, familiar with up in Canada is I always love being able to sit down and listen to the music. And one of the things I found was super hard was today's musicians, it's really hard to peg what genre do they fall under. And you guys are one of those things that, because your music's really fun, and at the same time you've got so many different feels happening to your music. So what classification would you guys officially be under?
So, I mean, I wouldn't classify it, right? As an artist,
Okay.
like
Yeah.
I definitely wouldn't. But you know, under the thought of everything else in the world, you obviously have to, right? You're putting out your music.
Yeah.
So in that respect, I would put it's like alternative indie pop kind of stuff. You know, the main things I think is, you know, we like to keep it positive. We like to keep it inspirational almost, you know what I mean? Like that's sort of like who we are, where we are, like how we want to look at it. You know, it's not that like everything is great, but like what we like to do is, you know, see like, okay, how do we, you know, get through it? I mean, and that's the title of the current album too, is Solutions, you know, where it's about, you know, we're more interested, instead of singing to you about our issues and our problems, is figuring how we can, you know, work through it and find the solution, you know? So that kind of like rings through in the music.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And like I said, you always got kind of like a bit of a comedic value to your videos. You know, on top of everything seems to also have a just a really amazing feel through it. I mean, like I said, you go through some certain flows and topics that are maybe a little bit more personal, but a personal that everybody can relate to.
Yeah.
And then you got some other ones that you know, might be a little bit more kind of like darker or crunchy or something like that. But everything just had a great feel. And the other thing I love about it is that you don't have one kind of set tone to things, right? So, you know, like a lot of musicians, they got a great feel, and then to one style or something. And I use Pearl Jam as one of those kind of examples, because I always loved Pearl Jam in many ways, but then they start changing their music, and then when they did, it wasn't as enjoyable. But if you keep kind of a roller coaster of flow and everything, when you have different directions for different albums, then people don't notice a huge swing, and then you don't like drop off on listeners and fans and stuff.
I think the thing too, like, you know, about Pearl Jam is like, I mean, how absolutely epic are those first few records, right? And but like that didn't exist before them. You know, of course, you can hear the influences of their music, of what they were listening to, but they created something new. You know, they did something like, you know, that was there. So it was a moment. You know, it was a very, you know, strong moment in time, and sonically, they created something that was unique, you know, that was their thing. So it's hard from there, I guess, to sort of like, and then, you know, what is that moment, right? Like, so can you always make a new moment like that? Or do you, you know, go on and stuff. So, you know, I love Pearl Jam, you know, and that whole thing. So yeah, and it's hard when you hear them start to go off. It's a different thing, I think, you know, it's a very different thing. For us, we are, you know, always trying to find our sound, you know, like and we're always listening. Like, to me, I like listening to new music. most important. It's like I'm familiar with all the stuff from growing up, and I'm familiar with all that stuff. But to me, it's about where are we all now? Like, where's the social consciousness now? Where are we headed? So I like to constantly be listening to new things, feeling new things, and that's it. And just absorbing new and seeing where it takes us and all that, and experimenting with sounds. I mean, that's just kind of our thing,
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And you have a bit of like a synth in there as well, which is I'm actually I really love hearing that coming back into music, right? I mean, it was like one of the things I loved about 80s music is there was a lot more synth in there, and then you've got that kind of flow in stuff. So it's really cool. And it's funny when you were talking about people that you listen to, like who would be your influences for the band, like for your music? Like, who were the people that you listened to that made you guys who you are?
One influence would be Prince, right?
Yeah, excellent.
Massive influence. I mean, just everything. It's growing up, the first music to ever really affect me, I was in kindergarten. I was in Mrs. Arcus's kindergarten class. I don't know if you know Mrs. Arcus, right? But she was
no, I can't say I do.
Yeah, and I was in the class, and we were, doing some drawing or whatever we were doing, and I heard, like, from across the room, dun, 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 I heard Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, and it was the first time that I had ever heard anything that kind of sounded like I felt, and I got up and I walked over and I just stood over this record player in the class, just listening, like, play that again, just could not get enough of that. I mean, it was this depth and this intensity and stuff that I felt in there. And I was like, wow. I mean, I go home to my parents. I'm like, I need Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, like,
which no parent ever expects, right?
yeah. They were like, okay, what else you like, So I mean, Beethoven's a huge thing for me. I mean, so I love that. Prince was a big one, but then, like, everything. I mean, just, there's you go through the different phases when you're a kid, everybody goes through, you go through your classic rock phase, and you go through all these different things, and, been through all those phases, and I never sort of like identified, like some kids were like the goth kids and all they listened to. I was like, I like Marilyn Manson, but, like, I'm not like, like, I liked everything. So that was just, that was it. I mean, so my influences, I mean, Michael Jackson, massive influence. I love a lot of funk. I love,
so good.
Pop is like some of the greatest pop music of all time, and then I love, like, I just love music,
Yeah. Well, and it's good. I mean, when you've got the love for it, but you don't want to, lock down to one thing. I mean, that's where, as an artist, you have a tendency to grow, right? Because you're going to take in all those different sounds and the loves that you find from different artists and different instruments and stuff, and you want to try to put that in and incorporate that into your own songs.
Yeah. I mean, and to me, like, it's always about reserving the right to change my mind. Like, that's it. It's like, I don't, we're doing this today, but we might, who knows what we're going to do tomorrow, and that was a big thing, like, in the starting of this band, it was like, so prior to this, I was in another band, which is like a pretty, rock type band. We toured the country for a couple of years, and when you're touring the country, you're not writing, you're not being creative. And to me, the whole purpose of this is the creativity. That's like, that's everything. The studio time, getting out and connecting with people and playing the music live is awesome too. But that's like the big stuff, is like the creative stuff. So coming back from the road, to me, it was like, I just wanted to basically just write as much as I could, and I wrote like 30 songs in 30 days,
wow.
Like, just doing this whole thing. And it taught me a lot about, I felt like it made me a better writer, and like in the past, it would be like, you write 10 songs and you go, that's my record, But in this case, it was like, I wrote 30 songs and then I was like, I don't even fucking like the first 10, like, I'm a different person now that I got here. So,
yeah.
and then I'm, from that mindset, you're like, well, what if I keep writing? So that's it,
Yeah. That's very cool. Yeah. It's really funny as an artist how you grow, and like you said, you kind of look back at some of your original songs, and a lot of people would say, "Oh, but that's where I got started, and I love this," but you're just like, I don't know, like, I've come a long way since then.
Well, you have to have that mindset. Otherwise, why continue on? You know, I do feel like there are people who get to a point in their career, and I won't mention names of artists, you know, but where they're over it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that
Yeah.
was, you know, what was that? Where did you pull it from? That arc that they pulled from of their
Mhm.
creativity is like, it's kind of gone. And that's okay. You know, maybe they did create a moment in time, you know, maybe that's what they did. And it was a part of that exact moment, as
Yeah.
opposed to the, you know, the universal thing. So I mean, that's the case, and then they go on. So I don't,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know.
Well, like we were talking earlier about Pearl Jam, I mean, like you'd said, I mean, when you're starting something new and when you're trend setting or you're starting that, you're setting the bar, right? And it's
Yeah.
hard to surpass that. And I think that's kind of the same thing for a lot of artists. When they come out, it might be relevant in that time, but if they can't continue to move or flow with the direction that's needed, then it just kind of you get washed away or you get a little obsolete, right? So
Yeah.
it's hard to keep pushing.
Also, I think like when you look at something like Pearl Jam or Nirvana, I mean, it was a moment. So it wasn't
Mhm.
just the songs that they were writing. It was, you know, the way your friends were
Time.
dressing. It was, you know, the world was changing around this thing, right?
Mhm,
So
mhm.
the world is going to continue changing, but like, do you expect most times we don't take those things with us, like disco. You look at disco and the Bee Gees and stuff like that, and as soon as everybody was done with disco, it was like, get the fuck out of here, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's kind of like that. I mean, they were a part of a massive change in pop culture and everything, so like we can't expect, you know, I mean, that's, you know, it's just how
Yeah.
it, you know,
Yep.
it's a
It's
curse,
true. It's true.
a cool
Mhm.
thing, and it's a curse, you know.
Yeah. The blessing and the curse. Yep, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, it is. Now, of all the songs, of course, you guys have written, and as you'd said, you did 30 in 30 days. I mean, like, there's not a lot of people that can produce that much music or write that much music back to back. I mean, it's all about feelings. It's time. You need downtime, and you crank through those. What has been your favorite so far?
Of the songs we've released.
Yes.
No, I mean, it depends. You know, I really like on the new record. Um, there's a song called "The Chase" that I love playing live because it's one of those that just, you know, coming out live. It's just the mood, the room changes, and you know, it just sort of like shape shifts everything, and the energy and the vibe and the feel of it is just amazing. You know, and
Yeah.
uh, you know, "Take You to the Wild's" another one like that where, you know, it just kind of transcends. On this new record, there's a song on there called "Upside Down," which I wrote about my brother who I lost to COVID.
Oh,
Um,
jeez.
and so, you know, that's, you know, I think like with songs, it's you have for it's a tough thing because I don't want to change anybody else's perception of what they are, and once they're out there, they're everybody's. You
Yep.
know, for me, it's like, you know, what connects to me, and you know, why did I write it, and what was it? You know, it's like that. To me, it's the moment that you were writing it, which is to me, it's kind of like a tattoo in a way. You know, some people are like, well, what's the symbolism of your tattoo? Well, the tattoo, to me, the symbolism is when you got it, where you were in your life, who you were
Mhm.
around and stuff. Like what you get on it doesn't matter as much, you know? And
Yeah. Yeah.
so like, you know, that's kind of like how I see it. And I think songs are similar. It's when you were writing it, when you were recording it, like where were you in your headspace, you know? And that's how I remember them. So
Exactly. I totally agree, especially on that tattoo theory, because my wife gives me shit all the time for my choice of tattoo.
yeah,
And just like, don't judge me. Don't, you
don't
know,
judge. Yeah,
it's
these are,
it,
it doesn't matter what you got. It matters who you're with. You
that's
know?
right. That's right. It meant something to me. Now you did a video for Nothing I Could Do Is Ever Good Enough for You. And that was like kind of like an animated. Now I think I read or heard somewhere that was that something you had done yourself, and you had kind of like a newfound appreciation for puppeteering.
Oh, indeed, indeed. All the videos we've done ourselves. I do a lot of video stuff, and then my wife actually does a lot of the design and stuff with me and helps with that.
Amazing.
I have, you know, a couple of friends also who work with me and help with the video stuff. So,
Mhm.
you know, I have like a little production company going. So we do these, you know, these videos together, and I'll come up with some, you know, random idea. I came up with the idea for that as being something about, you know, I saw it, I wasn't sure how it was going to come together, but it was a robot that had artificial intelligence that had fallen in love with its owner, and was trying to, was searching, how to make this person love them. And to do that, you would do nice things for this person, do good deeds, do everything that we would do to show somebody we love them.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this robot is, doing its job while doing that. Right. So,
That's right.
so the woman never knows that it's love and just, thinks it's being annoying because it's always there, trying to do something for it, So I'm like, how do we do this video? Like, do we have actors, and that was it. And then, it was like, well, let's do puppets. And I'm like, well, that's going to be easy. It was like the hardest thing ever. It was, for every like 5 seconds of that video, there's probably like, an hour of outtakes that are just everything going wrong.
It's really funny because I was a huge fan of like Jim Henson and the Muppets and all that kind of stuff. And even when you see some of the stuff that hits the cutting room floor, it's actually really amazing because a lot of those puppeteers or the Muppet people, like they stay in character right to the end, right? Like they even through the bloopers and all that stuff, they're still in character, which is always you get a lot of interesting respect for them and how they really throw in them.
We're not in character as those things were falling apart.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Sure. Right.
Working. I was like, oh, wait, puppets, you can't just have one string because all of a sudden it's like,
right, teetering around. So it's really funny when you're talking about like here's the the robot doing its job and it's completely overlooked, and I'm just like, I know a lot of guys who have gone through this exact process of this little robot that's trying to find love basically, or let its owner know that it loves them. So it's really funny, and I could see, like I said, there's another thing that is totally relatable to a lot of people out there. So
yeah, well, definitely. I mean, everybody's been there,
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we've got our little second section of the show here, where I've got our slightly slower than average rapid fire questions, and these are just 20 semi-quick questions to get to know you as the person behind the artist a little bit more. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just I got the questions, and you just let me know your thoughts on these. So
only wrong answers.
Yeah, right. If of course you come across something that you're not 100% sure, you can always pass. We won't slight you for it or anything.
Okay.
All right.
Good thing I had my cold brew.
That's right. I was gonna say, sit down, grab a drink. We're all good. All right. First question: what made-up word would you register into the English language?
Whoopa.
Whoopa. Do you have a?
Whoopa.
Okay. Have you got a definition for it?
Oh yeah, but I mean, it's the the fat above the.
Okay, right on. Oh, that's really funny. What is the scariest dream you've ever had?
When I was probably like 5 years old, I had a dream that I was shot out of a cannon.
Oh.
From like the mainland onto an island, and I was alone on this island, and that dream stuck with me forever. Wow,
that's great. You know what? I've got one as well that stuck with me forever, and it's one of those things that every time I see this particular movie, I'm still horrified. But and it's not E.T. Yeah, I know. It's I had one of those weird dreams where I was back in a childhood home, and the billions of little ETs came out and they attacked me and tried eating my skin, and it was like really weird. And it wasn't until it was one of those reoccurring dreams that I had for I think 12 solid years, and then eventually it just one day it clicked, and I never had it again. So
yeah, it's like not gonna happen. So I'm okay.
Yeah, but I mean, every time I see ET, I still kind of look at it. I was like, oh, wretched little creature. So
I mean,
and everybody loved ET.
Not cute,
It's true.
We probably would have designed him differently.
Yeah, for sure. What superpower do you wish you had?
I would say probably something to do with time.
Oh.
So whether it would be traveling through time or being able to visit different places in time, I think that would be probably what I would want.
Okay, that's really cool. Well, actually, that's funny because we have a little question a little bit later. We'll ask you about time. What makes you happiness?
I think having plans, having things to look forward to and accomplishing things are probably the things, just having plans, things, with loved ones and stuff, and things that, and then doing creative stuff. I mean, that's, feeling accomplished after a day in the studio is pretty good.
That's always good. Yeah, for sure. What is your earliest childhood memory?
I go back, because I was just recently talking about how I remember when I used the bathroom for the first time on my own, and everybody made a big deal about it, and I was like, I can remember this, it was like, it was quite the thing, people were excited about it.
You look back in life and you're like, man, how come people don't like all the other things I've accomplished has never been as good as the bathroom?
Yeah, I mean, that was a big deal. So, so since then I've been just going to the bathroom on my own, so I think that might be, I don't know if that's one of my earliest, but it's definitely one of the earliest. I don't know if it's
you don't like walk out of the bathroom, your wife applauds you or something.
Yeah, I'm like, you fucking see what I just did in there by myself.
I think you only get the applaud if the seat goes down afterwards.
Yeah. Or if I don't do it for a while. So
Fair. What foreign language do you wish you could learn?
Ooh. I don't know. I mean, I would say probably some sort of alien language. So if aliens were to come down, I'd love to be able to talk to them.
You were the first person to ever say that. That's really interesting. I'm always surprised. Some people say, "Oh, it's Italian or French or Spanish." Alien language, love it. That's really cool.
I want to learn a language. One of the other languages that are out there. That would be amazing. Because there's going to be word like how like we have like slowly like we have emotions and there's no word for it.
Yeah.
So if you were to come across an advanced civilization, and you could learn that language, you might learn more about yourself and other people.
Yeah, exactly. Or just space travel, which would be awesome.
Oh yeah, I'm ready. Let's go.
Right.
The Degrasse Tyson shirt on right here.
That's right.
All motherfuckers need science.
Science. Okay, so what decade would you most like to live in?
Right now.
Right now? Okay, cool.
I mean,
I was gonna say with time travel and you couldn't.
I would love to travel. I would love to go to all these, but when we talk about living in it, man, you gotta have AC. Let's be real. You gotta have proper medicine. You gotta have electricity.
Yeah.
You gotta have Wi-Fi. And access to these things, being able to fly anywhere in the world that you want.
True. Yeah.
And
I find it surprising that an indoor toilet wasn't one of your things on the wish list.
You gotta have an indoor toilet, but you make it work.
I'll take Wi-Fi first over the toilet.
Yeah, I think we're living in. I mean, we're in an interesting time where we get a lot of information, and we get it very quickly, and we see a lot of bad things. But it reminds me of the old Bill Hicks. Remember the comedian Bill Hicks?
Yep.
And he's like talking about like, when cable news came out, and he's like, it's like murder, death, rape, destruction. He's like, I open my window. It's like, cricket, where the fuck is all this shit happening?
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's like, it just gets thrown at us. And I think it's part of our social evolution to sort of, to work our way through all this and kind of like, find a way to be excited about all the absolutely amazing things that really do exist right now in the world. You know what I mean? So
100%.
We're very lucky to be alive at this particular point in time.
For sure. What movie first made you cry?
Movie?
Yeah.
I mean, I cry easy. So, I'll tell you, I never cried harder than at the movie Marley and Me. Dog?
Yep. That's Matty G's the co-host here. That's his tear jerking movie. Like he has to run out of the room and sit in the bathroom and have a good cry before he can go back.
I had no clue, man. I saw that in the movie theater, and towards the end of it, I'm sitting in the movie theater like, why are we doing this to ourselves? Like looking around, the whole place is crying. I was like, fuck it. I cried so hard to that movie.
It's amazing what a furry little friend can pull on the old heartstrings, right?
Everything, man. It's everything.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I guess we kind of answered this potentially, but do you believe in aliens?
I believe they could exist. I don't think we've seen evidence saying either way, yes, they do or they don't, right? So I think that all the stuff we see is intriguing, and it's interesting, and it raises questions. But like whether or not what we see is actually aliens, or because I think if we approach something by having an idea of what it is already without the actual evidence of it, we then skew our view of what it could be, and we also limit our scope as to what it could be. I mean, it could just as easily be time travelers. It could just as easily be anything, like things we have never even thought of, right?
Yeah,
So
for sure.
who even knows? Like, I don't know what that stuff is. So there's definitely out there life throughout the entire. I mean, come on. Obviously, we know there's life out there. So whether that life is visited here, I don't know. I don't know.
It's it's really funny because I had this discussion today with someone where I was talking about after with everything that's been going on with COVID, everybody has overlooked the fact that the U.S. government has released that aliens are actually true and real. There's all this data that they put out there.
Yeah. And it's, we'll see what happens with all this. I just don't think they're going to come to a conclusion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's going to be kind of vague. Like, well, we don't know.
Yeah.
But
I haven't even taken the time with everything that's been going on to actually read this data. Like, I mean, because you think, oh, okay, so they finally said it's real. Let's get into it's real, because they're not going on TV and talking about it. They've decided, hey, during this pandemic, let's release this information that everybody has suspected, but we're not going to talk about it. It's out there. Go ahead and read it.
Yeah. It's interesting. And it's interesting that it was in the COVID bill in the US about releasing the information they do have on the unidentified aerial phenomenon. That's kind of stuff. So yeah, curious to see what's in the report. Love seeing the footage. Obsessed with it.
Yeah. I've seen some things that honestly, you kind of ask, like, was that just a trick of a camera? Nowadays, are these deep fakes, or is this actually real stuff?
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess you got to be there to be the person, I guess, themselves to share it out.
Yeah. I think
next question.
Like they actually communicate with whatever it is and say, "Where are you from?" What I mean? Like,
that's right.
We can't. How are we going to really know?
That's right. If you can't put it on the map. Yeah. How would you spend $100 million today?
$100 million. I mean, I think, one of the first things that I'd want to do is help children, I think I just, I mean, kids, there's a lot of ways to help kids. And I think they're important, and I think they need to be protected, and so it would be, when you see kids, the things that they're going through around the world, this is in all countries, the poverty that they're dealing with, and, losing parents and growing up on their own, and diseases and cancer and, things like this. It's like, I think just, ways to help kids to, teach them to education. I think, those are all things that I think would be most important. These are vulnerable, the kids are vulnerable, and how you raise kids and how you treat kids will determine the world we live in the future. So I think that's everything.
Yep, for sure. What gets on your nerves?
Misinformation gets on my nerves. Injustice, like I would say number one, injustice. Like just when things are just, and I'm not talking about like, you can have difference of opinions and things like that. But when there's like pure, just true injustice, that's the thing that gets me probably the most.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good one. What's the last thing you did just for yourself?
Went and got a coffee.
All right. Speaking of which, have you ever tried? Do you guys have a nitro brew coffee down there?
Oh my God. Yeah. So good.
It is. Honestly, I had it the first time the other day from Starbucks, and the thought of it kind of repulsed me. But then I had it. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. It's so smooth. You don't need to put anything in it. I was really impressed. So good job, Starbucks.
So good.
We're not sponsored by Starbucks in any way, by the way. So that was a natural pitch.
To it, I'm sure. Right?
That's right. All right. If you could, we haven't done this question in a long time. If you could erase a holiday from a calendar, which holiday would you erase?
Erase one holiday?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, everybody's, I wouldn't want to take away anybody's favorite holiday, but I feel like Columbus Day is sort of like overstayed its welcome.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of indigenous people that also agree with that. So
Yeah. So I think Columbus Day might be, if I had to, but
yeah.
at the same time, I know that, some Italian people really like, cherish the day because this is a day we're celebrating a famous Italian, so,
Yep.
I'm not trying to take anybody's thing away.
Okay.
And I'm not taking anything away from Columbus. I mean, he did good things, brought
Yeah.
syphilis to Europe, a lot of.
Yes. Yeah. We it's really funny. We're going through an issue right now here in our hometown where we've have in Kingston, Ontario, where the home of the first prime minister, right, and Johnny MacDonald, and there's been a huge upset because he had signed off originally on a lot of the residential schools where a lot of the indigenous here, of course, had lost their lives or lost family or just outright disappeared. And I personally, I don't feel like his statue should be pulled down because how do we grow without accepting the mistakes that were made?
Yeah.
Right? Like getting rid of someone from a park or a bench or his name off historical sites doesn't change what happened.
Yeah.
But by teaching our children where it went wrong and where he made the decisions wrong, I think is a stronger value or a stronger point than removing a public figure or historical figure like that. So
Absolutely. I mean, but he was the first prime minister, right?
that's right.
Okay. So at the same time, we have like in the U.S., we have former presidents that were slave owners, right?
Yes.
So, that's the kind of thing you can't take that down. Having said that, we also did have this Civil War and we had traitors who were battling the United States of America. So here we have the issue of like, do we keep up these statues for people who left the country and fought against Americans, right?
Yes.
But that's where we have that issue. And it's like, to me, it's not about necessarily erasing the past, keep the past, but at the same time, like, why would you put up a fucking statue of somebody who was essentially, a traitor to your country, right? We wouldn't do that in another sense. So that's where
but I guess depending where you are, that person still holds a valuable lesson for people of that area, right? So or even the supporters. So it's hard to say, I guess. I mean, I think we get to a point in the world where everybody gets so politically correct about things that it's kind of hard to separate the lessons and the shame, right?
Yeah.
So it's an interesting world. All right. What do you do when you can't fall asleep?
What do I do? So sometimes I imagine that I have my own island, and I imagine where I would put things on the island, and I imagine if there was if I had a train running on the island, right? So I create this little safe imaginary place in my head, and and then sometimes I fall asleep because it gets so boring.
So basically, you play Sims in real life. You just sit there and in your mind you create a Sims.
I do. That's more recent. In the past, what I would do also is I would just do music theory in my head, and I would use that to fall asleep and just like through scales and things like that. And I'd be like, just easy.
Yeah.
So,
that's interesting.
Basically, essentially, it's like about taking your mind off of whatever's whatever's bothering you and calming yourself. So whatever that happy moment place is for you at the time is what it is to get you to sleep.
Yeah, I mean, I think often people can't sleep because they feel they can't control something or something that's bothering, right? So put yourself in a situation of something you can control, and that can lull you back to sleep. So what's the best thing you've ever eaten?
Oh man, I mean, it's a lot of things. I have to say probably when I was a kid, I had a friend whose family was Jamaican, and they made the most incredible jerk chicken, and I'd never done anything like this in my life. And my mouth just fucking exploded. I mean, and I'm like, how do you eat this? And then like a minute or two later, I was like all the flavor kicked in.
Yeah.
And so it's been about chasing that, for the rest of my life. It's like, how do we find that again? Somewhere in the world,
Yeah, that next flavor high, if you will. And it's really funny because I mean I grew up as I would think a relatively simple meat and potatoes kind of family.
Mhm.
And we didn't explore a lot in flavors. And even when my mom tried to, generally my dad didn't like that. So, it was kept to a minimum. But then when I remember going off to college and I think I had Thai food or something, I was just like, oh my God, there's other flavors out here. Yeah, it really shocked me.
Thai food, Mexican food. I love all that. I love spicy stuff,
Yeah, me too.
Great.
What activity you do that makes you lose track of time?
I mean, that's easy. Definitely writing, recording, stuff like
Mhm.
that. Makes you lose track of time. I mean, anytime you can find an activity that does that for you, that's when you get in your flow state. And
Yeah.
that's when you're really like connecting with who you are at that point when you're losing track of time,
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
Um, oh, have you ever had a crush on a fictional character or like a character from a movie?
Yeah, definitely. Olivia Newton-John from Grease. I mean,
Oh, okay. That's
like
that's a good one.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like this. Yeah.
Gotta look around and wife is staring over the shoulder. That's true.
Olivia Newton-John.
Olivia Newton-John.
Yeah, probably that. I mean, but to be honest with you, I never, there's a weird thing with like celebrities where I don't necessarily, it's so strange because if I see them a few times,
Mhm.
think of it more like as people you go to school with, or like somebody,
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I just, it doesn't really phase me. The one, the one, I will tell you, the one time that I was totally starstruck that took me off guard, entirely took me off guard because I first of all had never even really noticed this person until meeting them,
Mhm.
was TLC, and it was Left Eye Lopez from TLC.
Yeah.
And going and meeting them in person, and it was like I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, whatever. I mean, and I've met like a lot of like what you would think famous people. I was at Michael Jackson's 30th anniversary concert. I mean, it was like everybody.
Oh, amazing.
Michael Jackson, incredible, but I'm like, still, I met Prince, shook his hand. I mean, and he's like one of my favorites. So, and I never got that starstruck feeling, and I'm not even a TLC. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm like okay with it. But as soon as I met Lisa Left Eye Lopez in
Mhm.
person, not even like in the pictures or video, it was like I saw her and I was like, oh my God, like what the fuck, right? It was the
Yeah.
weirdest thing ever.
That's interesting. Yeah. Was it just like she had like a bunch of charisma that you were just like, oh my God, this person is fantastic? Or
Floored me. I didn't even know. Like, I was like, what the fuck? Like, I couldn't even talk. I was like, huh? It's so weird. I'm like,
yeah.
very strange.
Yeah.
Very strange. She looked like but she was totally made up at the time. They were doing like a photo shoot or something like that. So it was totally made up. I mean, looked like it was like a painting. You know what I mean?
Wow.
It
Yeah.
was it was pretty cool. That was crazy.
That's really cool. Excellent. And the last question we have for you today is what is the favorite podcast you've been on in the last 12 hours?
I would say this one without
Hey, right on. That's excellent. It's funny because a couple times you've talked about, Prince and Michael Jackson, and we had Howard Bloom on the show, who of course was the PR for both of them at one point. And, it was really interesting that Prince, for someone who was a very small statured man, didn't get along very well with PR people. He had kind of a bit of a wild streak in him, which is, I think, why when you see people portray Prince, they portray him as such a tough badass, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he what's crazy is that when I met Prince, right? Also, I should preface that Dr. Fink, the keyboard player from Prince and Revolution, is a good
Yep.
friend.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
Initiated our wedding.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, which is totally amazing. But when meeting Prince, I got to tell you, it was literally like, how like people say, don't meet your idols because it's nothing like that.
Yeah.
Prince, literally exactly like it and beyond, because
Oh, wow.
I met him at this like hotel thing. He performed there. It was Clive Davis was there, and I see him and Clive Davis, talking on the side, and like, this is my moment. I'm just gonna go over and talk to him. And I walked over, and people always said he'll never look you in the eye, right? I walked over. I'm and I was like, hi. He stopped. He looked me right in the eye, and I said, I just want to say that it's an honor to be alive at the same time as you, right?
Yeah.
And then he's like, he looked me right in the eye. He's like, thank you very much. And then he shook my hand. Amazing. And I was like, okay. And then I went off, and then I was sitting down, and then I was watching. And the best part though came, because there was this girl sitting up in the back. This was all like reporters and stuff that were there. He was doing like a little small, close like performance thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Like reporter girl sitting in the back with a bunch of papers. She was taking notes. And so Prince like sees her, and he walks up the stair, and he grabs his like little blouse, thing, and like walks up the stairs to go.
Yeah.
She doesn't even notice. He stands over her, and she's like in shock. And he's like, he looks at her and he goes, "You coming with me?" Right? I'm like, what?
Wow.
Just like, I don't know. I don't know. Like doesn't know what she's doing. And he's like, forget it. Right? And he turns around and walks away. So he looks back. She grabs all of her papers. She throws them in her bag. She starts walking after him. He gets to the backstage door, never looks back, right? Opens the door and then holds it like behind him like this. And she walks right in, and he never looked back.
Wow.
Knowing she was coming.
Yeah. Yeah. That was just the power and charisma that he had, right? It was so interesting. Yeah. It's just definitely there's an artist that unfortunately was just a huge loss for society when he passed away. I was really disappointed when that happened. And same with Michael Jackson, though, right? I mean, I know he has a lot of bad publicity about things, but I mean, I look back and think like here's another man who like changed the way music was at that time period, right? And just really amazing. So
yeah,
it's just insane. Yeah.
His level of talent is, Michael Jackson, Prince, both of them. But like Michael Jackson also, he was a super special human being. I mean, we were, I don't think people really understood him, and the level of like curiosity and compassion that he literally did entail, and I think it was very much misunderstood,
Yeah. I agree. And, that was, I had to ask Howard Bloom because he was very close with them because I think deep down in my heart, I'm hoping he's still alive somewhere, right? Like he's sitting on an island with Kurt Cobain and they're chilling out and
he deserves it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I thought it was just, maybe it was a time that he just decided like, I need to get away before things get any crazier and still salvage. I don't know. I guess there's always that dream and that hope, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so sitting there with Prince and Kurt Cobain having a drink and laughing about things, but
and David Bowie and
yeah, for sure. I mean, it's really sad. We're at a time where a lot of these icons in our life are starting to pass on, and I guess it makes you realize your own mortality at the same rate because you're thinking, here, I grew up listening to these people or watching these people, and now they're gone, and then you're like, well, who's left? Because I haven't really grabbed on to a lot of the new young artists, right? You're still hoping that you hear artists that pick up a lot of maybe some of that, a little bit of that old sound that they pull into their music. And you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I can get into this. So so
no, definitely. I mean, that's also why we ask whenever somebody died, we go, how'd they die? So we don't do it.
That's right. That's right. Yep, exactly. Got to learn how did it go and how did it go down.
For sure. To hear that. How did they die?
Right? Don't go out this way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Fentanyl.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Excellent. Well, do you have any social medias, anything you're passionate about, any charities or anything that you're working with right now that you'd love to pitch?
Yeah, I mean, we're not necessarily working with any particular charities right now. One of the things that, we probably will do something with is probably like Tourette syndrome. My brother who passed away of COVID had Tourette syndrome. So that'll be something, and, other things that doing things for children's charities and stuff like that are, always something, that's super important.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's like you said, I mean, they're children of the future, and they need help, and they need people to protect them and look after them and guide them on the right way in the hopes that the world will be better.
That's it. I mean, if we complain about the world, we got to start with the kids. That's it.
Right. Yeah. So, and I, I always struggle with this because, I look back at my childhood and the things that I didn't like. And then I look at a lot of kids today and I'm thinking, well, how come there was no corrective, actions to make sure your kid didn't turn into a little shit, And then I'm just like, I've got my own kids and I'm just like, please don't turn into little shits. And then I'm the guy I'm complaining about myself, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of kids were raised on VHS players, what I mean?
That's right. Nintendo and VHS.
That's where it is. And now these next kids are all being raised on iPads, so.
Man, I really struggle because my kids love YouTube, and I feel like there's good things about YouTube and there's bad things about YouTube. I mean, I can't shit talk YouTube. We're on YouTube, but at the same time, there's so many people out there that run like gaming channels or these unboxing things, and I feel like you're almost teaching your children at an early age to gamble. Right? It's like the high of unwrapping that ultra elite thing or that rare thing. And I'm just like, yeah, it's just like, this is not a good direction for my kids to be watching. So
yeah.
But well, that'll be a rant for another day. But
well, I'm sure you're putting it in perspective for them. So
Yep, for sure. And they probably looking at me just like I looked at my parents and like, what the hell are you talking about? But yeah, the only other thing I can do is get online and just make an ass of myself so that my kids don't ever watch it, and I like stick it in their feed somewhere where they have to watch it, and I'm walking around making them look on screen. They're like, oh my god, I can't go on this channel anymore.
Well, here's the thing. Now it's not going to be interesting to them, but when they have kids and being able to go back and show them you doing all of these videos that you did in this archive and this social media footprint, and then their kids. So you have to think about it like now, like imagine if your great grandparents had social media and you'd actually be able to now go back and see what they had for lunch back in like 1940 or something. Right. But still,
right.
Like get such an insight onto their life. And you would actually, it's like, how like we now, like when we're archaeologists find an old town or something, the first thing go for the trash, right? Because that's how the most right. In the future, the trash is literally going to be that just throwaway social media post that you had, which is literally going to give them a lot of insight. And that stuff that you just throw out there as whatever is going to be absolute gold to your great grandkids who are going to be able to see you and probably make an AI version of you, because there's so much video of you online and your voice is online that they'll be able to get your opinions and your video and your face and be able to talk to you.
Yeah, that'd actually be super. I've never thought about that. It's like cryogenically frozen in time just through the videos, right?
Oh, 100%. Because you do more and more of these and they're online, they'll be able to take all the answers and put it together and answer so many questions.
Excellent. My dream of becoming Max Headroom finally came back. That's amazing.
You're immortal, man. That's what you're doing. Be like,
for sure. Yeah. I feel really bad for them because, I just, this is the first video I have not actually had a beard in. I had to do a medical thing and they needed me to shave, and my children hate it. I've never, I think I've had a beard for very close to 13 years nonstop. And every once in a while I do have to bring it down or I have to shave it. My children hate it and I don't know what it is.
Who are you?
That's right. And now now there's an actual video of me, and that's why I'm going to try to hide behind the screen, because this will be the one video where my children will be like, oh, I can't look. So, yeah. I made well, honestly, my eldest, when she was younger, she saw me without a beard once and she started crying instantly. It was almost like a stranger walked into the house and it freaked her out. So yeah. Excellent. Well, Stephen, thank you very much for a lot of your time. I've had a wonderful time chatting with you, and hopefully we'd get a chance to circle back around with you guys and see where things are going. And hopefully with everything now opened up, concerts are flowing, and maybe you will make your way across the border at some point and come up here to Canada, and it would be really cool. Yeah,
we're getting a lot of airplay up there, so I think it's definitely somewhere where we're going to want to go. So with that.
It would be good if you do come up, especially if it's in the Toronto area. I would travel. Even better if it was in the town of Kingston. By the way, really great, especially in the summer.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'd love to see you in person. Definitely love the songs. The music is fantastic. I'm always happy because it means that after I get to listen to these, you know, you guys always have a couple tracks that I'm just like, oh, that goes on the playlist, and
Awesome.
that's amazing. So
That means everything, dude. That's awesome.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. And again, we'll be in touch, and we'd love to have you back on a little bit and see how things are going for you.
Anytime.
Very, very cool. Excellent.
Awesome, man.
Have yourself a wonderful evening. And again, we'll chat soon.
All right. Take care.
Take care. Bye.